Hey, this is Eric. This is the final week of the Winter League. It's another loss. So, after not last week, but 2 weeks ago video, I focused a lot on getting my topspin backhand to where it's reliable and usable. And I think that I managed to do that quite a bit in this match. You'll see one right there. I don't think I could have hit that in the last video. See, that's two pretty good backhands in a row. Now, this player is actually kind of weird. One, he's left-handed. Uh, I kind of try and adjust to that and then don't get the result I want and lose track of it. Uh, just kind of go back and forth. I realized later on that I really should have been hitting backhand slices into his backhand quite often. Uh, just never really figured that out and committed to it. You'll see a couple slices that he just doesn't know what to do with. But for the most part, I think I rallied quite well in this match. I think most of the misses in the rally are from me trying to cut it too wide, which is a nice change from trying to cut it too deep. He moves me into the net quite often, and I don't really have the game. I realize that that's where he wants me, and I try and fight from getting into the net quite often, but I just can't generate the depth, and he's pretty good at hitting short shots that just force me into the net, and I can't get out. He was commenting on how good my serve was for pretty much the whole match. See, that's one of those where he pulled me into the net, and I managed to punish him for it. A little bit wide there. So see, that's me going to his backhand and him having trouble. So really, I never did anything with his second serve. I kind of tried to get a see. He's really good at the net. There's quite a few times that he has just amazingly soft hands. Uh, but I never really do much against his second serve. I get several looks at it, but I never really abuse it. So like, there's a second serve, and all I can do is chop, and it goes long. I got a little bit of coaching the day prior to this, and he mentioned that I was kind of doing this starting in a pinpoint stance, and I wasn't really getting any value out of it, and I should try going to a platform stance. And I think it's probably the right answer, but considering I got that advice slightly over 24 hours ago at this point, I haven't had time to really implement it. So I think there's some inconsistency that happens in this match from me kind of being halfway in between my old stance and the new stance. That's kind of unfortunate, but it's just kind of part of changing techniques. Speaking of the advice that I got there, he mentioned that I don't move my feet quite often enough. That had been the vague comments had been made about my footwork being poor, and I wasn't really able to solicit very good advice on what that actually meant. So that's him going to the net and me just having a hell of a time trying to beat him at it. But I wasn't really getting good feedback on what people meant by, oh, your footwork is bad. But he was able to really kind of illustrate what he wanted my footwork to be. And at least during drills, he was able to get me to execute that different technique of lots of really small steps as I make my final adjustments. So I almost managed to get to that ball. That was a pretty good rundown. I just didn't finish the execution. But getting those really small, quick steps at the beginning, that was a excellent just cross court. And then I launched one into orbit. I had played 4.5 hours of tennis the previous day, so my legs are getting a little bit tired and changing mechanics. So there's some unfortunate serves. So this is him. So like that's just good net play, right? He's like 2 feet from the net, and I get it below the net, and he's able to keep it in play. Just excellent hands at the net. But anyways, back to the footwork. So he really wants me to start using very small steps to address the ball at the end, and that's absolutely correct. But that's something that I need to spend another 4.5 hours or whatever focusing on and trying to make it automatic. I can't. So he's coming up to the net over and over again. He's about 6'5", and I can't lob high enough consistently enough to actually punish him for coming into the net like that. But yeah, that's going to be my project for the next 2 weeks or so, is fixing my footwork, at least whenever I'm addressing the ball. So that's one of those, not missing long, but missing wide. That seems like a much better miss to me. Missing, 2 to 3 feet wide. Or not even 2 or 3 feet. It's like 1 foot wide. So he does a lot of kind of, I guess I'll call them junk balls, trying to force me to come into the net. I think he realizes that if it's just a baseline to baseline rally, I'll probably eventually beat him, just from the amount of topspin that I'm able to generate. So he just pulls me into the net relentlessly, either intentionally or just through lack of ability to generate depth. So that's an excellent example of a ball that I would not have been able to hit last time, and I finish it off on the backhand again. So I think probably 4.5 hours that I put in over the last 2 weeks on my backhand has really paid dividends. Pretty comfortable with my top spin backhand. As I said, I probably should have been using slice more against him. Like if I had hit a good deep slice down the line against him there, that would have ended the point much quicker. But I just didn't make the connection until as I was watching the video, actually. So that was a pretty good get, I think. I mean, he hit it way high, and I was able to get there. But then I don't do anything with this shot or the next shot. Hey, I actually won the point. I thought I lost that one. But excellent get. I probably should have been able to end the point faster. Continues to hit junk short balls, just dragging me into the net, so I'm going to get some free points there. So that was kind of a cool serve just because it bent in 4 feet. I think it was actually a miss hit. Like that just rolled off my racket, so I'm not going to be able to hit that serve with any type of reliability. So that's definitely a mistake, hitting a short ball against him. He wants to be in the net, so everything needs to be well behind the service line. I should be hitting those big, loopy topspin. Like, that's just an unacceptable shot against him. He should have won that point. All he had to do was get that one in, and then it would have been over. There's that. So I finally do something against that second serve, but even that, if he had proper footwork, he probably would have been able to get to it and do something with it. So that's the type of ball that I should be hitting against him more often. I think he called that out. I'm not certain about that, but he called it out, so it's out. I think this is, yeah, so he starts hitting just absolute junk. This is well into the second set. He starts hitting lots of really ridiculous junk, and I just can't deal with it. Like, I run this down, I rip it right back at him, and he just plops the ball back over. This is about when I realized that I stood no chance of winning this game. So that was one of those, that was just a bad toss. I couldn't blame that on the platform stance. That was a pretty good serve. He hits it short, and I managed to get there and do something with it. But that's just an example of what he's trying to do to me. So he gets into the net. I can't. Yeah. So that one, what are you gonna do, right? Right. I mean, you get it below the net. He's right up there and just plops it 2 feet. Yeah. He claims, oh, it's a miss hit, but when he does it to you 3 or 4 times in a row, it's no longer a miss hit, and that's just part of his game. I think I hit one good lob here in not this game, but the game after, or after the ends are swapped. I managed to get one decent lob. That's probably something that I should spend some amount of time on, but it feels like there's a lot of fundamental strokes that, like, that's a beautiful backhand. But there's a lot of fundamental strokes that I need to spend a significant amount of time on that I don't feel like I can invest the, I don't know, I'll call it 2 hours or whatever to get to where I have a reliable top spin lob or a backspin lob. Because like fixing my backhand took about 4.5 hours of just getting out there on the ball machine over the course of 2 weeks, and that's about the amount of work that I can get in a week is 4.5 hours. So the challenge is, how do I allocate that, right? What's the best thing I can do? Right now, I think the best thing I can do is really focus on my footwork and get that to where I'm positioning myself so that I think my pretty sound swing can get executed more often. So that's what I think is going to be up on the docket next, is getting that footwork. The lob is definitely on the list, but it's a long punch list at this point, and I don't know when it's going to get to the top. So this is just kind of the way the night goes. He hits kind of a lazy shot and it gets in, and then I think, yeah, so, and then he puts it away. Or no, I get that one. That was an awful volley, by the way. He calls it beautiful, but that was awful. There was nothing good about that volley. That's why I try and stay out of the net, because my volleys end up being pretty bad, even if they do work out sometimes. So that's one of those, pulls me into the net, and then my footwork betrays me and my approach falls short. So he's an excellent volleyer, as we can see. It really helps that he's, 6'5", 6'6", whatever he is, used to play basketball, has arms as long as I am, and it feels like he's impossible to pass. And then just has beautiful hands. I guess he's a little bit slow. As I said, I should have been hitting that backhand slice into his backhand. I kind of try and go for it there, but it pops up too much. There's the one good lob of the game. If I could do that every time, that would probably neutralize him, but I can't spend enough time to make that a viable shot or a viable option. I guess against him, I can't really even try the pass, so not much choice. And that's why I can't come up to the net against him, because he can just get to everything, and he hits pretty good approaches. So I managed to dig that one out, and then just, once again, screw up the approach, mostly due to bad footwork and not focusing on the ball. I'm probably getting pretty tired at this point. My changed form is starting to break down. You can notice that my feet are much closer than they used to be. I still get a couple decent serves in, but everything's just kind of falling apart at this point. I think for the next season, I'm going to try and limit my Sunday play probably to an hour and a half, as opposed to the 3 to 4 hours that I've been trying to get on Sunday. Sunday is probably the freest day that I have, but if my progressions, my test of myself, I guess, is going to happen on Mondays, then it's really kind of counterproductive to gas myself. So this is the last point of the match. I have an excellent get and then put it in the net.